Hey everybody, Erin England with Revolved here. So unfortunately, I had one of my nails pop off. I don't think it's the fault of the polygel. I do use peel base, but when I took the nail off, and I'm happy to report that I actually took it off right this time, so I didn't damage the nail underneath, and I went back and did my nail prep, there's actually quite a bit of dead skin on the nail plate. You can see I kind of got down on it when I was removing the skin to make sure I didn't have any premature lifting again. So yeah, my little cuticle's a little red and angry at me, but it'll get over itself. So although I was bummed that it popped off early, it does give me an opportunity to practice with the paper forms again, and it'll give me a chance to show you how I do my polygel application. So we're gonna make lemonade out of these lemons. Okay, so we are gonna go back to the paper forms again. I really did like using them, and I am excited to try doing it again. Maybe I can correct some of the errors I did last time. So of course it comes off the little roll like a sticker, and the middle pops out. You turn it over and put the sticker there in the middle, flip it over and roll it to get it that rounded shape. And like I had an issue the first time with trying to keep it from becoming too much of a stiletto nail, I'm hoping that my application this time will be a little bit smoother, because I wound up with kind of flat, wide nails, wider than I wanted. So maybe this is my opportunity to correct that error. So again, you line up the nail under the sticker under the nail, with the idea of getting it as close to being flush as possible, so you have a nice smooth application point. So I am gonna leave it there. I'm not quite as intimidated by having a stiletto nail, because I think the flatter, wider nails are more of a problem. And with the length I'm going to make the nail this time, I learned the other one, again, it was fun, but it was super long, so I'm definitely not going to go as long this time. And I'm pretty happy with that nail placement there. So I am going to go into my polygel application, and I'm going to show you how I did these crazy glow-in-the-dark nails with the pretty tip on the edge. Okay, so I have got a damping dish, which is actually a South Carolina shot glass with isopropyl alcohol in it to use as my slip solution. I've got the brush that came with the polygel kit. I'm going to put that in the alcohol for a few moments because it was a little stiff from the last time I used it. I get a paper towel here to use to kind of dry off the brush so I don't put too much alcohol on when I do the nail. I've got my nail form still in place. I am pretty happy with the way it looks already as far as staying put. And this is the polygel from the glow-in-the-dark kit, and that's the color that was on the nail before, and so that's what I'm going to put back on it. All right, so I'm going to start by just putting a bead of the polygel on the nail directly. And it's pretty sticky, so I'm going to put it there. And then the technique, which I learned from Evie at Long Hair Pretty Nails, is you start by smoothing into the cuticle area first, and my hope is that I did a better job of getting the dead skin off. Now I have my base gel down, my base layer down, a base coat, gel base coat, and I put more of the peel base, but I made sure I only put it in the center of the nail. And then I'm just gently patting with the brush, and I'm trying to not have too much alcohol as I am working on the nail, because you don't want a ton of it. I have read where it can, mess with the integrity of the nail. Now I've got a pretty good amount here of the polygel, so I'm happy so far with the cuticle line, but I am going to move the gel gently. Again, I'm patting it gently into place. I did have an air bubble there, so I'm glad that that has smoothed out. I have learned that that's how you get that kind of that whitish look in the gel, so you definitely don't want that. And just like I did the first time, I'm just going to barely cover, or just try to barely cover, the tip of the nail, of the natural nail, with the polygel, enough that it'll hopefully camouflage the natural nail, because I didn't want to cut it short. It may make life easier if you do cut it short, but I have a tendency to not do things the easy way. Plus, I didn't want to limit myself by cutting my nails short in case my next application I want to do just dip nails over my natural nail. So my brush is getting a little dry, so I'm going to add a little bit more slip solution, and I'm checking my shape, because I learned the first time that the more you shape and get it smooth the way you want it before you cure it, and I'm checking the thickness of the nail here too, the less filing that you have to do after. And I did have to do quite a bit of filing the first time I did this, because my nail shape was not where I wanted it to be, and my application wasn't perfect with the nail form either, so I wound up having to do a lot of shaping after the fact. So kind of hoping that this time my technique has improved. Now I've got that white spot in this polygel. I'm going to see if I can work that out of it before I cure it. And like before, I'm going to try to get it as straight an edge as possible, and I am going around, and when I see that the polygel is wider than my nail, I am using the brush to smooth it down. And I do want to make sure that I don't want it too thick, but I also don't want it so thin there that the nail itself won't be strong enough, because I'm very right-handed and I use my pointer finger rather, a lot. So I want to make sure that I am making the nail thick enough that it can withstand life with me. Bless its heart. So I'm going to check the shape. Shape's not bad. Check the thickness. The thickness is not terrible. I'm going to tamp it down a little bit more here on the end. So of course I am still going to be adding a clear tip to the end of this nail. So I don't want it to be so thick that when I add in the other, it looks crazy lumpy. Check the line here, this nail. I'm going to go just take my brush here, clean that line a little bit more. My poor cuticle. Sorry, cuticle. Go around again with the slip solution, which is alcohol, and just try to keep the cuticle clean, because the more you do before you cure it, the less mess you have later. So, not bad. I don't hate it. Let me check the thickness here of the nail. Not awful. I'll go around one more time, because I am a bit of a perfectionist. Okay, I'm a lot of a perfectionist, so it definitely makes this a little bit more time consuming for me. Make sure that this line, see, that's what happens when you start messing with it. I want to make sure though that this is still going to be thick enough to survive life with me, at least for a week. Right there, see, that is a critical spot. It's got to be thick enough where it comes off of the finger, because if you think about it, physics and whatnot, that's going to be an area that's probably going to take some force sometimes, you know, if you're putting on jewelry or opening things. That part of the nail is going to get used, so. Check the thickness, check the shape. Okay, again, doesn't have to be 100% perfect because I am going to file and shape and buff, but the better I make it now, the less I have to do later. All right. That is one thing with polygel versus builder gel. Polygel does not do something called self-leveling, meaning with builder gel, kind of like gel polish, gravity will work on it and it will level itself out. Polygel's not that way. It's gonna stay pretty much where you put it. So if you see lumps before you cure it, lumps are going to be there after you cure it. So you want to try to de-lump as much as possible. Again, it's not the end of the world because I haven't filed yet, but my goal is to not have to file as much this time as I did the first time. So I've got somewhat of an even application. I'll check it with its, its sister nail there. I want to pull out the polygel slightly farther. Again, it's, you know, for nice, pliable material. The slip solution does let you play some, so somewhat beginner friendly. Definitely helps if you have done gel nails before, if you played with polygel before, that helps. Okay, so I pulled it out a little bit farther. I'm going to check the length here. Not bad. Remember, I am going to put a clear tip on it so it doesn't have to be the exact same length. So now I'm going to cure it in my lamp for 60 seconds and then do a little filing, and then we'll add the other clear tip to it. So this is a lamp that I bought when I bought the kit. It's a 120 watt lamp. And I had a 36 watt lamp and a 48 watt lamp before. And when I decided I was gonna retry polygel, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put my best foot forward here, because I learned with the more opaque polygels that the lower wattage lamp, regardless of what the manufacturer says, it does not cure the polygel. And when I tried to do my friend Faith's nails, we used a really pretty, fairly opaque blue, and it would not cure to save my life or her life or the lamp's life. So I learned that a 36 watt lamp is just not strong enough to cure polygel, especially if it's an opaque or semi-opaque. So I had another lamp, and it's a 48 watt, and it did well. But I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, let's do it right. And let's do it with a higher watt lamp. I'll go ahead and give it another 30 seconds just because I want to make sure that it's completely cured before I take the file to it to shape it. Because I have learned the hard way again that when you file polygel that is not fully cured, it leaves the white streaks in it that they just never really come out, and it never really comes out right. So I would rather make sure that it is fully cured before I take the file to it than risk it. All right, let me take a look out and see. That feels like it's cured. Yeah, that feels like it's cured. All right, so let's check the length again. And it's a little wide, so I'm definitely going to have to do some shaping to, make it a more narrow nail, but overall, pretty pleased with it. So let's get out the file. I've got a couple of files here. Let's just use the little one. And I'm gonna just take it, the 100 grit edge of the file, the 100 grit side of the file. I'm just going around, and I'm just gonna make the edge a little bit crisper so it gives me a little bit more even spot to work on here. Full disclosure, I don't think the sticker is on 100% even, so I'm just eyeballing a little bit. I'm going to use some of my alcohol spray to clean off. You see my form has popped open, which is what happened to me before. So I'm just going to very gently wipe off the form. Okay, I'm checking that it looks fairly even. So now I'm going to go into my clear polygel application here. Let me clean it up just a little bit there. Make sure. Okay, so you can still see my natural nail through there a little bit, but it's not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with the straight edge there of the purple nail over the natural nail. So we're going to go in. Now, this is a good example of what happens when you're getting to the end of a tube of polygel. Polygel is very sticky and very stiff. So I'm having to really work hard to get this little bit out. I was getting low before, and I'm just really grateful that I have enough in here to do this nail repair. I definitely have ordered some more. So polygel, sticky. So when you're doing an application like this, it will adhere to the other part of the polygel. So I'm going to again go in with my alcohol slip solution, tamping off the brush a little bit. So now if you look, first of all, I'm going to just dot down the polygel. I want to make it even with the other nail as far as width goes. And then because I want the union to be fairly smooth, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to tamp it in to the side a little bit. So yes, I have a straight edge, but I do want there to be an even union. Watch my grammar here. And so I'm just going to tap it, pat it in place, go through, and of course that's a lot longer than I need it to be. This is just a small tip there, so I can back it up some, which I need to do anyway because it's not as thick as the other nail, so I want that to be a little bit more even anyway. So I'm just going to take the brush and I'm going to do a little sculpting here. Flip it over so you can see. And just gently guide the clear polygel into the existing pink purple polygel. I'm just gonna work that in so it's smooth and it meets. And my dog is down there whining. I hope you can't hear him. You probably can a little bit. I hope it's not as annoying to you as it is to me. Love you. He's spoiled and he probably wants to go to bed. So anyway, so you can see I'm rebuilding that nail just like that. And the lines on the nail forms are very helpful. I'm sure it would be even more helpful if I'd got it on there perfectly straight, but I didn't. But we're getting there. I'm gonna stop for a second, see what my dog wants. Okay, I'm back. I think my dog just wanted up on the bed, and then my youngest daughter called me. She's up in college in Boston, and she has started a job as a waitress. And she was telling me some of the waitressing woes. So guys, be nice to your servers. They're somebody's child. You know, dining and dashing isn't cool. Not tipping your server is not cool. You know, the whole treat other people the way you want to be treated thing. It is a biblical principle, which you know I'm all about, but it's also just common decency. Okay, so I have shaped, I think, the tip as well as I'm going to be able to shape it pre-filing. I'm going to actually, you know, see, this is half the part when you're OCD that makes this hard. Put my brush down. All right, you know what? We are just going to cure it, and we're just going to go with, oh wait, here's my brush. Yeah, this side is still just a little bit too wide. Haven't cured it yet, so it's pliable until you cure it. Once it's cured, it's cured. I don't want to have to go back in so it's not 100% necessary. So anyway, all right, try to square that off a little bit better. Please step away from the brush. Same thing with filing. I can file and file and file 4 hours. Okay, just want to make sure that that is thick enough. I'm going to push it back just a little bit just to make sure that it's thick enough. If it's too thin, then I have another problem. So I'd rather it be a little bit too thick than too thin. I think we got it. There we go. Make sure I got the coverage right. That's pretty even. All right, we're just gonna cure it the way it is and let it roll. All right, yeah, see, there we go. All right, we're gonna cure it for 60. Here's my lamp. Do like it. I think I will do maybe a video on the differences in the different types of nail lamps. I know a lot of the kits, you know, they'll starter kits, they'll advertise, you know, it'll come with its own nail lamp, and they're different designs, and some of them are made for single nails, and some of them are made for, like this one, a whole hand. You know, if you're curing one nail at a time, I can totally see why a single nail lamp would be, you know, fine. But for me, I would rather personally have a bigger lamp, because you can stick one finger in a time in a lamp, you know, a bigger lamp, but you can't stick a whole hand in a single finger lamp. So if you are only going to do, you know, polygel or single nail art applications, okay, but you know, if you're going to do something that, you know, you want to at least have the option of putting your whole hand in, I'm definitely a bigger fan of a bigger lamp. Go big or go home, perhaps. So I did have it go through. Now, one thing I will say about this lamp, if you retract your fingers or your hands, the lamp turns off. So if I'm not paying attention, if I get to talking, sometimes I pull my finger out and I don't know how long it's been in there. So I'm gonna put it back in here again, just to make sure that it's fully cured before I take it out. Because again, I've learned the hard way that if you start filing polygel that's not fully cured, you get this white, nasty, streaky stuff. And sometimes you can file it down, but sometimes you can't. So I would rather err on the side of curing it a little bit longer. All right, let's take a look and see what we've got. All right, that feels like it's hard and cured. Right now, I'm going to remove very slowly and carefully this paper form, because the underside of the polygel may not have cured completely. You know, it's a it's a dark color right here. So if you're using a more opaque polygel, or just the thickness of the polygel can prevent sometimes the light from getting all the way down to the bottom. Now this looks pretty good, but I'm still going to take my brush, damp it out, and I'm going to take the brush. I think it completely cured it, but there are times when you pull off the nail form and it did not. So going back behind with the brush will give you a smoother under nail, because again, one of the reasons that I left dual forms behind is because I did not want the yucky space between the natural nail and the polygel nail. And I'm just going to go over the top with a little bit of alcohol to take some of the sticky off before I start filing. So this is the pre-filed nail. Not a terrible shape, not perfect, but not awful. It is a similar length to the one next to it, or the corresponding nail. So I am going to, that's a little goopy there. I'm going to put it through the lamp one more time just to be on the safe side. Again, I'd rather cure it a little bit longer and be sure than chance it. I have learned the hard way that being impatient with this is a mistake. So I'm going to cure it one more time and check it just to make sure it feels good and all the way cured through. And then I will file and buff off camera, and then I will finish it on camera so you can see what I do. All right, that doesn't look too bad. All right, I'm going to file and buff. Okay, so I finished shaping and buffing off camera because it takes me a hot minute, and sometimes I stand and file and buff way longer than I should, so I didn't want to bore you with that, but you can see the nail shape is pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So even though the kit came with its own base coat and top coat, I used the base coat, but I found when I did the original set that the top coat left, it just stayed sticky, which I hate. So I had bought another base and top coat gel set from Savaland, and I do like their stuff. I use their builder gel too, and so I'm going to use this top coat because this top coat I absolutely love. It really leaves a really nice, hard, glossy, shiny finish, which I like. I do like a matte top coat, but when I want shiny, I want glass shiny. So that's why I'm going to use this one. And I want to point out too that I did not only file, but I also buffed. I have learned from some of the experts that you can leave behind scratches when you do your filing, which makes sense. So when you buff, it buffs out some of those scratches. So trying to be careful here. And because I've got a clear tip, I like to brush a little of the top coat on the underside also, because it gives you that glassy finish. And I'm going around the edge with the top coat as well, just to make sure that the entire surface is covered. Now this gel top coat, it is self-leveling. So while the poly gel will not, you know, really respond to gravity, this gel top coat does. So I'm pretty happy. I'm just going around with my other nail, make sure I don't have any on my skin. I got a little bit. Trying to get that off before I cure it, because of course once it's cured, it's on there and I'll have to pick it off. Come on now, cooperate. There we go. So that's a pretty good start. I'm going to cure it. Now this particular top coat, they recommend curing for 120 seconds. So 2 times through the 60 seconds. So we're going to do that, but I have been very pleased with it. It really does leave a nice high gloss shine, and it's not sticky even a little bit, because boy, that is nasty. And you have some that are called a, you know, a no cleanse top coat. That means you don't have to go over the top of it with alcohol, which I like, but I will still go over the top with alcohol, maybe because I'm a little bit old school and I want to make sure there's 0 sticky left, because that's just gross and nasty, and it's not what I want on my nails. So anyway, super shiny, super pretty, and of course, you know, this is glow in the dark poly gel, so when I put my hands in the nail lamp, it's charging up the glow in the dark. You can see it's already glowing in the dark, you know, because I'm a 5-year-old child. All right, we're going to put it through one more time. Might as well charge up my nails while we're talking. And that should do it. Sometimes I put 2 coats on. Just depends on how nice and smooth and shiny the first coat is. Because of course the more coats you put on, the more you have to take off when you do take off the nail. But full disclosure, I do use peel base underneath, so it's not quite so bad, because if you just put it on your natural nail and bonded it, you're gonna have to file and you're gonna have to soak a really long time, and I have learned that I'm not patient enough to do that, so I prefer using peel base, because I like to change out my manicures. Usually about a week is all I can leave a manicure on before I get bored and get a new idea. I want to change it out. So here we go. I'm charging up my nails again, because, you know, love that. Okay, yep, see. Ah! Glow in the dark. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, super pretty. And of course I managed to get some on my cuticle area. It's not the end of the world. I will clean that off. But anyway, that's how I did this gel application and this poly gel application, and I will clean up that nail, and hopefully the rest of my nails will last the rest of the week. But anyway, that's how I did it. You guys have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, comments, cries of heresy, or need any help with real estate, you know where to get me. Erin England, Revolve Realty, 256-783-9248. Alabama Home Sales and Pretty Nails with Erin, y'all. We'll talk soon. Bye now.